Hello and welcome to Daily Prelims Practice. Here we are going to take up the MCQs based on today's newspaper of The Hindu and Indian Express, which are important from UPSC Prelims exam perspective. The topics for today's discussion are listed on your screen. So let us start the discussion. The first question of today's discussion is based on this news which has appeared on page number 17 in Indian Express. It basically talks about the recent forecast by IMF, which says that the global growth will remain below 3% in the year 2023. As IMF is an important international organization which plays a vital role in the world economies. UPSC has previously asked many questions related to IMF or its initiatives. So, this area becomes important for our discussion. In the year 2022, UPSC has asked this particular question in which the lending provisions are being asked and you need to identify which of the following banks or organization provides that. It makes the international bodies important for our UPSC Prelims exam. The practice MCQ which we have framed says that with reference to special drawing rights, which is famously known as SDRs of IMF, which of the following statements is or are correct. Whenever you solve the MCQs, you should be careful that whether it is asking for correct or incorrect statements. The first statement says the value of SDR is set weekly by IMF on the basis of fixed currency amounts of currencies included in SDR basket. It is an incorrect statement because the value of SDR is set daily by IMF and not weekly. So, this statement is incorrect. The second statement says SDR cannot be held by private entities or individuals. It is a correct statement as SDRs can be held or used only by the member countries and certain designated official entities called prescribed holders. So, this statement is correct. The third and the last statement says IMF members can use SDRs for settling loans, payment of obligations, pledges among themselves. It is a correct statement as IMF members can use SDR in range of authorized activities such as settling loans, payment of obligations, pledges, and in operations and transactions involving IMF such as payment of interest or repayment of loans. So, this statement is correct. And the answer to this question becomes C, which is 2 and 3 only. And the answer to the previous year question is B, as the rapid financing instrument and rapid credit facility is the lending provisions of IMF. Hence, the answer to this question becomes B. The next question of today's discussion is based on this news which has appeared on page number 13 in Indian Express. It basically talks about the contribution of Mahatma Gandhi in the Indian freedom struggle. Although the context of this news is not important as far as our UPSC Prelims exam is concerned, but the contribution of Gandhiji is of immense importance when it comes to UPSC Prelims exam. In the year 2013, UPSC has asked about Annie Besant and her contribution to the Indian national movement. From this question, you should be getting an idea that the personalities which were associated with the Indian freedom struggle are important for prelims exam. The practice question which we have framed says that with reference to Indian freedom struggle, consider the following statements. Following the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Gandhi gave the title of Kaisar-e-Hind. It is a correct statement. On 13th April 1990, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre happened and Gandhiji gave up his title of Kaisar-e-Hind, which was bestowed by Britishers for his work during Boer War. This statement is correct. The second statement says Gandhiji was made member of Disorders Inquiry Committee to investigate the matters of Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Now this statement is incorrect as the Disorders Inquiry Committee was formed after the massacre, but Gandhiji was not made a member. And it is also called as Hunter Committee. And 3 Indians were made members to this committee. The first one was Sir Chimanlal Harilal Settlewad. The second one was Pandit Jagat Narayan. And the third one was Sahebzada Sultan Ahmad Khan. So, the statement second is incorrect. The third statement says All India Home Rule League's name was changed to Swarajya Sabha under presidentship of Gandhi. It is a correct statement as in 1920, Gandhi accepted the presidentship of All India Home Rule League and he changed the name of this organization to Swarajya Sabha. So, this statement is correct. And the answer to this question becomes C, which is 1 and 3 only. And the answer to the previous year question is also C, as Annie Besant was not the founder of Theosophical Society, although she was associated with this particular society, but she was not the founder. Hence, the answer becomes 1 and 3. Now moving on to the next question, which is based on the Indian Space Policy of 2023. It was recently approved by government to institutionalize the private sector participation in the space sector. Space technology is an important and recurring theme in the UPSC Prelims exam, hence this area becomes important for our discussion. And we must be aware about the initiatives taken by Government of India regarding the private participation in space sector. In 2016, UPSC has asked about AstroSat, which was the astronomical observatory launched by India. In this question, you are being given two statements and you need to identify which of them is or are correct. You can pause this video and try your hand on this. The practice question in this regard says that consider the following statements with reference to Indian space sector. The first statement says New Space India Limited, which is also known as NSIL, acts as interface between ISRO and non-governmental entities to utilize India's space resources better. The second statement says Indian National Space Promotion Authorization Center, which is famously known as InSpace, is the commercial arm of ISRO to take up high technology space related activities. Now in this question, you are required to identify which of the statements given above is or are correct. The description of both the organizations have been interchanged. Hence, the answer to this question becomes D, which is neither one nor two. As you must have seen in the previous years, UPSC has done similar kind of things to interchange the description of organizations. So you must be careful while dealing with such statements. The New India Space Limited is a wholly owned Government of India company under the administrative control of Department of Space, and it is the commercial arm of ISRO, which has the primary responsibility of enabling Indian industries to take up the high technology space related activities. And on the other hand, the InSpace, which is Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, act as interface between ISRO and the non-governmental entities to utilize the space resources better and to increase the space-based activities. Hence, the answer to this question becomes D, which is neither one nor two. And the answer to the previous year question is also D, which is neither one nor two, because India became the fifth country to launch the similar observatory into the space, apart from US, Russia, Japan, and Europe, making this statement incorrect. And AstroSat is not a 2000 kg satellite. It is 1500 kg satellite which is placed at 650 km above the surface of Earth. Hence, both the statements are incorrect and the answer to this question becomes D. The next question of today's discussion is based on this news which has appeared on page number 2 in The Hindu. It basically talks about the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, in which the Delhi's former minister Mr. Satyendra Jain was arrested by Enforcement Directorate in a money laundering case. Recently, the amendments were made to the PMLA Act 2002, which made the law more stringent. As legislations related to security of the nation are important from our exam perspective, hence we should be aware about the key aspects related to this particular act. And in the year 2019, UPSC has asked a direct question on Maternity Benefit Amendment Act 2017. In this question, you are being given three statements and you need to identify the correct one. On the similar lines, we have framed one practice MCQ which says that with reference to amendments to Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which of the following statements is or are correct? The first statement says the trade in virtual digital assets brought under the Act. It is a correct statement, as in the recent amendment to the PMLA Act, as the transactions in cryptocurrencies and virtual digital assets trade are brought under the PMLA Act. Hence, this statement is correct. Second statement says it defines the politically exposed persons in line with the recommendation of Financial Action Task Force, which is also known as FATF. Now, what does this politically exposed persons mean? These are the individuals who have been entrusted with the prominent public functions by a foreign country, including the head of states or governments. Hence, this statement is correct. The third statement says the definition of non-profit organization has expanded to include any entity or organization constituted for religious or charitable purposes. It is again a correct statement, as the recent amendments expanded the scope of non-profit organizations to include the organizations which were constituted for religious or charitable purposes that are registered as trust or society under Societies Registration Act, making this statement correct. And in this question, all the statements are correct. The answer to this question becomes D, which is 1, 2 and 3. And the answer to the previous year question is C, which is 3 only. The second statement says enterprises with crests must allow the mother minimum 6 crèche visits daily. It is an incorrect statement, and the moment you eliminate second, you will reach the correct answer, which is 3 only. The next question of today's discussion is based on this news, which has appeared on page number 1 in The Hindu. It basically talks about the governor's power with related to the bills passed by State Assembly. The context of this news is that the Tamil Nadu governor, Mr. R.N. Ravi, has said if governor withholds the assent to a bill passed by Assembly, it means the bill is dead. As UPSC has previously asked many questions on the bills passed by Parliament or the powers of President with respect to those bills. Hence, this area becomes important for our discussion. In 2018, UPSC has asked a question on governor. In this, you are being given 2 statements. Out of these, you have to identify which of them is or are correct. The practice MCQ says that with reference to governor, consider the following statements. The first statement says, it is the discretionary power of the governor to reserve the bills for president that endanger the position of state high court. It is an incorrect statement. If the bill passed by state legislature endangers the position of state high court, it is obligatory on the governor that he should reserve the bill for president, and it is not a discretionary power. It is the obligation on governor, making this statement incorrect. The second statement says he can pardon a death sentence if state law prescribes for a death sentence. It is again an incorrect statement. The governor does not have any power to pardon a death sentence. Even if the death sentence prescribed by the state law, it is the president who can pardon a death sentence and not governor. Hence, the answer to this question becomes D, which is neither 1 nor 2. And the answer to the previous year question is C, which is both 1 and 2. Because no criminal proceedings can be instituted against governor during the term of his office. And it is also a correct statement. The allowances of governor cannot be diminished during his term of office. The last question of today's discussion is based on this news, which has appeared on page number 9 in The Hindu. It basically talks about the India-Bhutan relationship and a recent visit by Bhutan's king to India. And India has announced number of measures to support its neighbors' developmental plans. As international relations, initiatives, and India's efforts to its neighboring countries is an important and recurring theme in the UPSC Prelims exam. This area becomes important for our discussions. In the year 2017, UPSC has asked about River Teesta, as it is a transboundary river which is flowing through India and Bangladesh, and it plays an important role in the relations between India and Bangladesh. In this question, you are being given 3 statements and you need to identify which of them is or are correct. The practice question which we have framed says that consider the following pairs, in which the 4 projects are given related to India's neighboring countries, and you need to identify how many pairs given above is or are correctly matched. The first one is Chukha. It is not in India. It is a hydroelectric project located in Bhutan, and India has been a key partner in developing that project. The second one is Maitri project. It is not located in Bhutan. It is a project located in Bangladesh and not in Bhutan. Maitri is a super thermal project which is constructed with Association of India. The third one is Pancheshwar. It is a multi-purpose project which is located in Nepal. Hence, it is matched correctly. The last one is Rangit hydrothermal project. It is located in Sikkim and not in Bangladesh. Hence, it is again an incorrect pair. As we have discussed, only one pair has been matched correctly. So, the answer to this question becomes A, which is only one pair. And the answer to the previous year question is B, which is 2 only. So, that's all for today's discussion. Thank you for watching today's DPP. Stay tuned for upcoming sessions which will enhance your preparation for the prelims exam, which is going to be conducted on 28th May 2023.